Nothing has been more examined and looked at than my emails. We all know that. So he's either lying or delusional or both. There was no subpoena, as he says in a tweet this morning. So maybe there does need to be a rematch. I mean, obviously, I can beat him again. But
have now confirmed that Secretary Clinton has conceded to Donald Trump.
Last night, I congratulated Donald Trump and offered to work with him on behalf of our country. This is not the outcome we wanted.
So he's either lying or delusional or both.
So maybe there does need to be a rematch. I mean, obviously, I can beat him again.
She has called Donald Trump to say that she will not be president, and I'm not sure the exact words, but probably to congratulate President-elect Donald Trump.
So maybe there does need to be a rematch. I mean, obviously, I can beat him again.
We must accept this result and then look to the future. Donald Trump is going to be our president. We owe him an open mind and the chance to lead.
So that happened.
I mean, obviously, I can beat him again.
And I'm sorry that we did not win this election.
But Hillary Clinton, what you're saying, has now made a formal telephone call to Donald Trump to concede. Is that right?
That's correct. I'm talking to a source who was there for it and telling me Hillary Clinton has made it very clear to her opponent that she believes that he will be the next president of the United States and not her.
Now, having said all this, why aren't I 50 points ahead, you might ask?
I began by asking Secretary Clinton about today's developments in the impeachment inquiry. If the Trump administration has the authority to block the American ambassador to the European Union, Gordon Sondland, from speaking with Congress.
That the Congress has an inherent power to seek evidence from witnesses with respect to their investigations, and most particularly an impeachment inquiry.
This is not an impeachment proceeding in any way. This is a full-fledged political coup attempt, another coup attempt. It is an illegitimate, unconstitutional clown show.
Because they have a tiny margin in the House, they have eviscerated the rules. You can't have lawyers, you can't speak, you can't do anything.
They can slow walk it, they can try to block it.
That's us.
There's already enough evidence about what former Ambassador Sondland was saying about the effort to threaten and extort the president of Ukraine through text messages and emails.
If you believe that Donald Trump did something to hurt this country, you owe it to vote, not talk about impeaching the president. The only way to open up an impeachment inquiry is to vote. We need a John Hancock moment from House Democrats. Quit hiding behind Nancy Pelosi.
Why not just go ahead and say whether or not you favor impeaching the president?
Time having expired, the yeas are 258, the nays are 176. The resolution is agreed to. The motion to reconsider is laid upon the table.
The move to start impeachment proceedings was defeated by a vote of 332 to 95, with 137 Democrats joining Republicans to block the effort to consider articles of impeachment this week.
In Washington tonight, there's breaking news. The House voted overwhelmingly to block a resolution to impeach President Trump.
I appreciate the will and the sentiment among Democrats to impeach. But that is not the will nor the sentiment of the American people. Nancy Pelosi knows that. It is not a card she needs to play because the votes aren't there for it outside of Capitol Hill.
Ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bang, bang. Ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bang, bang.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie.
Indeed, I did have a relationship with Miss Lewinsky that was not appropriate. In fact, it was wrong.
Gotcha, bitch!
I think it is really important to respect the process and to support the opening of the inquiry, which I do, and the gathering of evidence, and then the weighing of that evidence. From my perspective, it appears as though what the House is doing is very much in line with the appropriate use of the impeachment power.
But this time, instead of relying on a lengthy investigation to be thwarted by a special counsel, they're going to take matters into their own hands. They're not going to make that mistake again, and they'll just use an unconstitutional impeachment blitz. As White House counsel Pat Cipollone asserted in this brutal takedown, House Democrats have, quote, designed and implemented the inquiry in a manner that violates fundamental fairness, constitutionally mandated due process. They have denied the president the right to cross-examine witnesses, to call witnesses, to receive transcripts of testimony, to have access to evidence, to have counsel present, and so many other basic, simple, fundamental, guaranteed rights of all Americans. Now, all this violates the Constitution, the rule of law, and every past precedent. Yeah, Newt gave them all of that when they impeached Clinton. Democrats seek to overturn the results of the 2016 election and deprive you, the American people, of the president they have freely chosen.
Donald Trump is going to be our president.
They know they can't beat Trump. They're even saying it.
Are you concerned that impeachment talk may actually help the president's reelection?
I'm concerned that if we don't impeach this president, he will get reelected. If we don't impeach him, he will say he has been vindicated.
I know that she has consistently deceived the American people, and she is not fit to be the commander-in-chief. And I'm very confident the American people in November will see that as well.
Well, I also want to ask you, because you're the former Secretary of State, what about the role of Secretary Pompeo being on that call at the time?
Why aren't I 50 points ahead, you might ask? Well,
have you always told the truth?
I've always tried to. Always. I have tried in every way I know how to level with the American people.
We've seen decades of Hillary Clinton being dishonest. Even where she says she's always been honest, she's dishonest. She's someone who the American people don't trust. And I think come November 8th, we'll see that in the polls.
Yes, ma'am. You're not supposed to have classified email on your private server either.
And I did not, Congressman. And I did not.
Secretary Clinton said I did not email any classified material to anyone on my email. There is no classified material. Was that true?
There was classified material emailed.
Let me ask you this. You say that you turned over everything. I don't get a chance to watch you a lot on television, but when I see you are interviewed, you make a point of saying, I turned over everything.
All my work-related emails.
How do you know that?
I know that because there was an exhaustive search done under the supervision of my attorneys.
Secretary Clinton said all work-related emails were returned to the State Department. Was that true?
No, we found work-related emails, thousands, that were not returned.
Did her lawyers read the email content individually?
No.
It's really a shame that he has substituted the defense of Trump for the defense of diplomacy, the defense of our country, literally doing the job that a Secretary of State should do.
Former Vice President Joe Biden, clearly a part of this. His name came up during that call. Whether he did or didn't do anything wrong, and there's no proof that he did, President Trump keeps bringing that up, is there an optical problem for Joe Biden because his son was in a position to be making a lot of money?
Look, Biden and his son are stone cold crooked, and you know it. His son walks out with millions of dollars. The kid knows nothing. You know it, and so do we. Go ahead, ask a question.
The position to be making a lot of money from a company that was in a foreign country.
Hillary Clinton is gross and damaged, and we're learning she and the DNC paid former British secret agent Christopher Steele to unearth dirt on President Trump.
You know, Judy, this is the goal of the Trump strategy. It is to raise questions. There is no evidence that either one of them did anything wrong.
Either one of them did anything wrong.
Joe Biden is the most corrupt vice president in history.
And they probably know that Joe Biden and his son are corrupt.
In the case of the Bidens, Joe Biden was point person for the Obama administration towards two countries, China and Ukraine. And lo and behold, the two countries that Hunter Biden ends up doing the most business in overseas are China and Ukraine.
There is no evidence that either one of them did anything wrong.
If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a got fired.
Well, it just so happens that that prosecutor that Mr. Biden was talking about, the one he got fired, was investigating Burisma Holdings. And guess who happens to be on the board of Burisma Holdings? Robert Hunter Biden.
The one who's got the problem is Biden. Because you look at what Biden did. Biden did what they would like to have me do, except that one problem, I didn't do it. What Biden did is a disgrace. What his son did is a disgrace. The son took money from Ukraine. The son took money from China. A lot of money from China. China would love to see, they could think of nothing they'd rather see than Biden get in, because they will take this great deal that we're about to make, and they would really have themselves a deal for themselves. So let me just tell you, what Biden did was wrong.
There will not be any evidence that Joe Biden did anything wrong. Enough with these wild, unfounded conspiracy theories using the help of foreign governments to interfere in our elections and to undermine people who've been in the public eye for a long time.
The Clinton campaign paid for the dossier. They used Russian sources to find dirt on Donald Trump. She did sell a portion of the U.S.'s stockpile of uranium, and her foundation got $148 million.
Using the help of foreign governments to interfere in our election.
$148 million. I mean, that's real money. She got it from a Russian company, and her husband made a speech in Moscow and got $500,000. All of this was ignored as the mainstream media tripped over themselves to say it was Donald Trump and not her. I mean, it's pretty incredible that during a campaign you had one candidate with real ties to Russia, the other having zero, and yet it's the other that gets in the headlines of collusion.
Using the help of foreign governments to interfere in our election.
They investigated the Trump campaign for exactly what the Clinton campaign was doing.
But how is this not the scandal of the century right now? We have the Democrats for 6 months, even more than that, who pumped us for. I mean, if you're a liberal today, don't you feel stupid that for 6 months you were told the biggest scandal in the world was Trump colluding with the Russians to tilt the course of an American election? Now we find out that the boomerang has come back and slammed the Democrats right in the face, and the entire time the Russian connection was through the DNC and the Clinton campaign?
She deleted 33,000 emails.
Yeah, you know, it truly is remarkable how obsessed he remains with me, but this latest tweet is, so typical of him. Nothing has been more examined and looked at than my emails. We all know that. So he's either lying or delusional or both. There was no subpoena.
Today, the Republican-led House committee investigating the Benghazi attacks subpoenaed the personal emails of former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. This follows revelation she used her personal email account for State Department business.
He's either lying or delusional or both. There was no subpoena.
But Wednesday, lawmakers investigating the 2012 attacks in Benghazi, Libya, said that was not true, and they released a subpoena issued in March as proof.
He's either lying or delusional or both. There was no subpoena. You know, obviously, I give mostly free speeches.
Made $5 million making speeches. The president's made more than $100 million.
Well, if you have no reason to remember, but we came out of the White House not only dead broke, but in debt.
You know, obviously, I give mostly free speeches.
This was eye-opening this morning, my friend. You write that the Clintons earned a whopping $125 million from speaking fees since leaving the White House.
Free speeches.
Made $5 million making speeches.
And I know I'm not a natural politician. And
Clearly this comes up a lot. You said you're still trying to figure out why. And you do have a problem going forward with the polls. The majority of Americans say they don't trust you. What is behind it?
George, I don't know.
You talk about leveling with the American people. Have you always told the truth?
I've always tried to. Always.